What's good? I go by the name of Sean, but the streets call me Color Me Fresh, and I am a custom sneaker artist. And today, for you, I'm going to go over my design draft process using Procreate. Now, don't fret if you're new, you never used Procreate before, that's okay. I have some tips in there for you as well. If you're experienced, I'm sure there's information in there you can use. And hopefully, you know, we all get something out of this. You know what I mean? I'm also going to break down the Master Roshi Jordan 1 sneaker itself. Let you guys see that as well. Hopefully, you guys can learn something out of this. Apply it to your own work and make some dope shoes to make people say, "Ooh, wee." But before we get into that, do your boy a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell notification one time so you're notified whenever I upload a video. Now, with that out of the way, let's get it cracking. So here we have Procreate on the iPad Pro. Now, you do not need an iPad Pro to use Procreate. I believe most of the new iPads you can use Procreate on. If not all, you can also use Procreate on the iPhone. So if you have an iPhone and you want to try Procreate, go ahead and give it a try. I prefer the iPad Pro because I like the size. I have the 12.9 inch, so it works for me. I suggest you get what's in your budget. If you find something for cheaper, cop that. Now, if you have an iPad Pro, I have a protector on this that I recommend called Paper-like. It gives it some tooth, a gritty feeling. It mimics that of paper. I don't like the slick glass feeling that you get with the iPad. It doesn't feel natural to me. And so having this protector on it makes it feel a little bit more natural. So I do recommend it. It's called Paper-like. I will leave the description. I will leave the link in the description. I am not affiliated with them in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm just trying to put y'all up on game. So with that being said, let's get into it. Now, first thing first, if you are new, I recommend you doing your artwork on a Air Force One high, primarily because this section is open. You don't have to worry about stitching, you don't have to worry about panels. It's just a nice open space that you can get some real smooth, buttery artwork on. From there, I recommend maybe like a Nike Blazer, then an Air Force One low, and then you have the Jordan 1. This is probably the hardest shoe to work on painting wise because majority of your characters are going to fall, in this area. And if they're not falling in this area, they're going to fall in this area. And you also have the Jordan logo in this area, and depending on the model of the Jordan, like the Jordan 1 Defiant, it's stitched on, which can cause a lot of distortion. So in my personal opinion, this is the hardest shoe to work on. Now, if you're removing the swoosh, however, any of these shoes will work, because then once the swoosh is gone, you have this big open space here, and you can use that for your artwork on a lot of shoes. I know a lot of people do that. I only remove the swoosh on the inside. I like keeping the swooshes on the outside. That's my style. I also do a lot of custom swooshes, and so that's how I get down. So my characters fall in this area, and I've had to learn the do's and don'ts of putting my characters within this region. So my workflow, oh wait, let me backtrack. Let me cut this on one time. Now, when it comes to you guys designing shoes and putting characters on the shoes, I want you to think deeper than just what you physically see. You know, I want you to think of how this character makes you feel. Who is this character? What does this character do? All these characters come from some place. They have an origin story, they have enemies, they have companions, they may have a vehicle, they have weapons. You know, even you yourself as a human being, I'm not going to know your story by just looking at you. You came from somewhere, you've been through something to help you be the person you are now. These characters are no different. So when I think of Master Roshi, I think of a fun, vibrant, perverted old man, You know, the bright colors. I also think of the beach. And what do I think of when I think of the beach? Breaking it down a little bit further, I think of sand, water, seagulls, the blue sky, rope, nets, anchors, whatever that comes to your mind. And then you can incorporate that. You know, think of how this character makes you feel. I mean, as you can see, I have the Hawaiian shirts for Roshi here. I have his turtle shell. I have the Kami house. I have turtle. I have palm trees. I have the grass. I have his cane. And then I have the bikini top tongue tags because he's a pervert with perverted work. Not necessarily like, you know, perverted work, but you know what I'm saying. The nosebleed artwork on the inside that you can't see here. I also have the rope laces. Now, a lot of people use the rope laces, and that's fine, but there are all times where it doesn't really make sense. You kind of want your accessories to make sense, and for me, the rope laces, you know, his turtle shells attached to his back using rope. So that's why I added it. So yeah, you want to think deeper than what you physically see. Let's use somebody like Itachi, right? He killed his entire clan. That's pretty dark. Like, if you can murder your entire clan, you got some darkness in you, bro. Like, there's no way around it. And so how does that make you feel? If you were walking down the street at night and Itachi was walking by you, like, how would you feel? You know, if he was making some clothes or a clothing line, what kind of clothing line or clothes would you think he would make? Would it have more of a clean look, or would it have more of a grunge look? You know, that's where the aged soul look comes into play. You know, tattered stuff. You know, even though he may not have tattered clothing, that's the feeling people may get when they think of Itachi. And so it would make sense. So, you know, I just wanted you guys to know that and put that on your radar, because you know, the overall aesthetic of the shoe doesn't have to always be, you know, just crisp, clean artwork. You know, it can bring a certain emotion out in people when they see it, and that's also pretty dope too. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there real quick. Now let's get down to business. So my workflow, of course, insert your templates. I prefer these templates. Some people insert the actual shoe and then work on that. This is my style. So yeah, I then insert my artwork. If you don't know how to insert anything, click the wrench up top, go to insert photo, bada bing bada boom. Albums, I recommend you guys have albums for everything. As you can see, I have a Naruto album, I have my anatomy albums, expression album, DBZ, studies, templates, all of that. It just makes it a lot easier to find your work when you need it. So I have my master Roshi here. Now, when I'm working, I have about 10 to 15 references, and I just kind of pull from each one. You don't have to have that many. That's how I do it. For the sake of this video, I'm only going to use this one. After I have my reference in, I go here, the selection tool, make sure it's on freehand, and then you just trace. I'm doing it very roughly. And what this does is just going to kiss cut, die cut your image, whatever kind of cut you want to call it, and it just separates it from the picture. So after you have it outlined, you go down here to copy and paste, and as you can see, it created it on a new layer for what you cut. Now, I don't go right away and put it on the shoe. I like to design my shoe first. I'd rather have a well-designed and well color block shoe with good artwork than good artwork with a so-so overall design. That's just me, that's my style. Do what works for you. So I'm gonna put Roshi up here, and we're going to get it popping. So from there, I start my color blocking. So I'm gonna just hold down on the orange because I want to use the orange, and it selects it for me. Now, what would happen before, because of this file and this template, I could reference this photo, make a new layer, and then drag and drop, and it would fill within the black lines. For some odd reason, it's not doing that now. I don't know why. Since this last update, it started tripping. So it is what it is. What I do now is, instead of it being on normal, I now go to multiply, and multiply makes it transparent, so whatever's underneath is going to come through. So as I move my layer underneath and I start coloring, I'm on the wrong layer. Yep. As you can see, you can still see the black lines from my template. which is what I want. I want to be able to see my panels. Now I can go through and do this if I want and just color each panel. But what I recommend, and this is what I do, is using the selection tool. So go back to the selection tool, bam, make sure it's on freehand, bam, hit color fill. Now, when you trace, and I'm gonna do this very roughly again, and you close it, it fills it with color. See that, huh? It's nice. And this is going to be a lot quicker than you just going at individual panels and coloring it. It may not seem like it, but it is. So I'm gonna just do a few panels here. And there we go. Now, when you are doing panels that are next to each other, so let's go here to the toe box, I would recommend you putting this toe box on a separate layer than the panels around the toe box, because if you want to change this color, you can do so without affecting this orange. So for an example, let me just color the toe box on the same layer. Right, now I want to switch colors. And then now I run the risk of, as you can see, coloring this. Now undo, select my orange again. Now when you do it on a new layer, what you do is now go to this layer, select it, make sure your color fill is off. I use airbrushing for this, just because it's the biggest. Switch the color to maybe this purple, and as you can see, I can color that panel pretty quickly. Let's say I want to do a different color, select again, create a new layer, darker purple, bam. And so this helps me figure out kind of what colors I want to use, because now if I thought the orange or the purple would look good on the toe box, me seeing it visually, I can kind of understand that it doesn't. And so now I can just cycle the colors, right? I can go white. Okay, I don't really like the white. Let's look at the purple. And again, it looks this sloppy because I didn't take my time coloring it. Obviously, if you're doing your own mock-ups or you're giving it to a client, you can clean it up. But for the sake of this video, I'm just kind of, you know, coloring like I'm 5. So, yeah. And so you just go through, right? Just say, I like the darker purple. So I go with the darker purple. And you just go through that process throughout the shoe. Let's see. Whoops. I didn't color fill. And it's going to get, you have to get used to it too, because there are times where you forget to maybe click something. It's all part of the game, you know what I'm saying? And there you go. Now, because these two are far apart, you don't necessarily have to have them on separate layers, because you can color this if you wanted to, say, switch the color. Let's just pick some random color. Bam. So I can now color, whoops, wrong layer. And I have the autofill on, as I said, you know, sometimes you forget stuff. Cut it off. So now I can just do that, right? And I don't have to worry about coloring on there. And that's why you do it on different layers. You can just switch things on the fly. And also the biggest plus is when you're ready to make your shoes, you can send the file that you want or the layer that you want specifically. You don't have to send the entire shoe and then try to maybe cut around something. If I just want to send this layer, I can. If I just want to send Roshi because he's on a separate layer, I can. You know, so I can either open up a new template, copy this and paste it, you know, and then paste, for example, and then now I have a whole separate one. So you can do that, and then when you email it to yourself or however you get it on your computer, you already have each layer individual, so you don't have to really do any modifications. You don't have to cut anything. You just pretty much print it if you want to use it for tracing or make a stencil out of it, whatever the case may be. Now you just go through the shoe, get it how you want. Again, for the sake of this video, I don't want to go too deep into it because of time. I might do a full video if you guys want one, but it's going to be hella long. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to keep it here for right now and then go into maybe character placement. So now when I'm ready to put my character on the shoe, what I recommend is you turn down the opacity. Come on. Because now you can see where his face is going to fall on your sneaker. I don't recommend you putting the eyes, the mouth, or the nose anywhere in this area. There are going to be times where they do, but of course certain features are going to work better than others. Like if you have his mouth split a certain way there, that's fine. But say for example you have his nose, if you guys can see that, it's going to distort a lot, right? So depending on the facial expression, depending on the character, some people you really don't want that to happen, because again, some characters and some art styles are more simple than others, so it's not going to work as well. You know, he has on glasses, so if I were to put his glasses right here on that seam line, it's not going to affect me as much as if I had an actual eyeball there, you know. So just make sure you try to stay away from this area if possible. So just say you figure out you want your character here, you're good to go. You turn your opacity back up, and there you have it. Now, as far as getting characters on the shoe itself, there's a couple of methods, and if you guys want me to go through or give a tutorial about each method that I know of and different ways you can get characters on the shoe, I can. Leave me a comment down below. But the most common way is the tracing method, where you print out the picture, you cut around it, and then you use the X-Acto knife to cut, and then you trace. That's fine. A lot of people use it because it's a lot easier to do that as opposed to just trying to draw freehand on the shoe. But a trace picture is always going to look like a trace picture. No matter how well you trace, no matter how good you trace, it's going to look like a trace picture. So if you want your artwork to not look traced, you're going to just have to hit the books and study and learn and improve. So if you're starting out, it's a good way to get started, but you're going to have to study to improve. For the sake of this video, say I want to get him onto the actual shoe and I want to use the tracing method. I would then duplicate Master Roshi and then just move him here so I can keep the original photo on the shoe for reference. So I send this to myself, email, and I have a Cameo silhouette. Is that right? I think so, Cameo. And so I use that software to print. So when I get this, I can just trace and detach it from the white background, and now it's just die cut for me. And so what I'll do from there is I'll grab my actual shoe in hand and measure. Let me change colors real quick. And I'd measure from down here. I'll measure from down here to the top of his head. And let's say that's roughly 5 inches. From there, I've done it enough to where I know it's probably gonna be more like 5.5 inches. And so I just increased that size of him to about 5.5 inches. You can print it out and then cut it and then place it on the shoe, and it should fit fairly close. It doesn't have to be spot on, but as long as it doesn't fall in that region, the caution region, you're good. And from there, you're pretty much set. Again, you can now send each layer of your mock-up to yourself, use it for tracing, and it's just going to help your workflow. I guess we can get into the actual shoe and just kind of compare the design draft to the sneaker itself. As you guys can see, I don't deviate from my design drafts too much. I had to learn that when I first started. I would try to be creative and experiment, do different things. I run probably about 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, and then I was like, yeah, bro, you're too scatterbrained. Stop doing that. That's what works for me. You might be a free spirit. You like to live on the edge. You want to deviate from your mock-ups. That's fine. If that works for you, express yourself however you see fit. Now, I make 2 different kinds of shoes. I make both wearable and non-wearable customs, right? So if you're new, you do not paint the outsole. Paint does not stick to the outsole. It will come right on off. But this is a display piece. People get, you know, pieces that they want to display with their collection, whether it's statues or anything of that nature, or they might just be a fan. So I painted these because this is a collection piece. And a little bit more is I wanted to paint the outsole blue to represent the ocean, going into the brown of the midsole, which represents the sand, into the kami house, and then going into the beautiful blue sky with the bikini top tongue tags. Be creative, express yourself however you want. You don't have to copy anybody, you don't have to mimic anybody. People will follow you and be fans of your work because of your journey and who you are as a person. So just be unique. Like I said before, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification one time for your boy. Helps me out greatly. I'm also going to have links to my socials in the description as well as my website. So if you want one of these fire shirts, go ahead and copy one time. Do something nice for yourself. You know, it's part of your community service. Hook a brother up. Till next time, I appreciate y'all. Peace.